gotten better or worse in the last year?
I think the reputation of the school got a little bit worse because now that we expanded the school and more students come in, like they kind of dropped our grades in our average GPA.
And did you speak of professional experience?
Yeah, it is because last year we were the highest class in the whole school, juniors last year. This year's seniors actually have dropped.
And why exactly?
The addition of more students.
When making decisions regarding the students, do you feel teachers have the students' interests at heart?
I don't believe they do because they don't ask us how we feel when they're making their decisions.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like we should be included since it's our learning at stake.
The addition of more students, the addition of workload that the teachers put on us, most of the seniors probably have senioritis right about now, if they didn't already, and I just feel like we need a break.
Why do you feel like most of the seniors have senioritis?
Well, I think most of us have senioritis because
It affects the students' learning.
I do, because it allows you to focus on schoolwork as opposed to thinking about how cute am I going to look today because I need to compete with my friend who just got a new outfit. Also, what it does is that some students can't afford all those fancy clothes that others may afford, so it kind of levels the playing field, and you don't have that, discrepancy, or you don't have this attitude that you're better than me because I have more money or I can afford better clothes. So it kind of levels everything off for you guys where you don't have to worry about that. And oftentimes you guys don't even think about that. But that's a strategic move on our part to put everyone in the same uniform, affordable uniform, so you don't have those situations where people think they're better than others because they can afford better clothes, better shoes, what have you.
Do you also feel that we have uniform because of our environment?
I think it allows our school to stand out a little bit from the other schools, neighborhood schools.
Okay, so our story is about controversial topics within the school. For instance, uniforms, having certain classes and stuff. And, just the fact that they're keeping us here and we don't need to be here.
Okay.
And so these are just some of the questions we came up because it's been kind of consistent throughout the year.
When you say keeping us here, are you referring to seniors only, or are you referring to all students?
Main focus is seniors, but it's everybody.
Okay.
So this first question relates to seniors, and it says basically once we've fulfilled our graduation requirements, that most schools would let their students leave. For instance, at Narbonne, once they receive the amount of credits and they complete their AP3 courses, they don't really have to come to school anymore. So what do you think the purpose of having our seniors have 8 classes is?
So your question is what is the purpose of having 8 classes?
Just saying that ISEF's graduation requirements already require an extra year of everything. What do you think the purpose is of keeping us here once we fulfill those?
To be honest, I don't think all seniors, and I think it's very few seniors that should be allowed to leave. All seniors, I don't think that, even though that they fulfill their A through G requirements, I still believe that they have some work to do. I read a lot of the papers, well, not a lot. I read some of the papers and some of the personal statements, and some of them are really good, and then others, in regards to their writing, could use work. I'm sure other areas, of their academic careers could use work. So I don't think that everyone should be allowed. So I think to be allowed to leave. So I think to withhold, have a standard. I think to be fair across the board, you have to say no one can leave, because everyone would try to plead their case of
Right.
I should be able to leave because he's able to leave or she's able to leave. And you have those selective few that I do think that could leave and be okay, but there's so many that are not. I think it's far more that are not ready to leave or not be in school than they are.
Okay.
Especially with us being a college prep.
Oh, you can see that. Okay, so as far as I know, a lot of the electives that we have this year were just set into place this year,
Right.
and most of them we were placed into without actually having the option or opportunity to elect. How do you think that has affected the mindset of the overall student body?
I think that's a two-way street. I think it's true that these electives were set in place this year because they were taken away because of other reasons in the past years. But I do think the students should have the first option to select their electives. But I think there's not as many options as they think. So if you make a selection and it's not there, or something that you don't like, you don't have a huge option to switch and go to something vastly different.
Right.
And the other options, generally are because you just don't want to do as much work. That's what the senior, and I know that, because I've been here even prior to this being the first year when the selection was larger, and we had it 5-6 years ago. The case mostly is because you don't feel like that you want to do any work because it's an elective. And I know that if you take a class, you still need to grade for the class.
Okay.
So, do you think it would have been better back then, or how it is now? Like when you had a wider selection of electives?
I think it's the same, but I think, everyone understood that it was a college prep, so regardless of whether it was a core or an elective, you still needed the class, and you still needed to do the work and get the grade in the class. And a lot of people feel like, well, I have my requirements, I don't need the class anymore, therefore I shouldn't have to take the class because I really don't need it, and they give me work and I really don't want to do work because I don't need the class. It's the same cycle. It's been the same cycle for a while, so that's why I know the answers to this.
Okay, but so a lot of our seniors now are stressing out about day classes and all the work that we have to do, along with college applications and the few of us that have jobs. Do you feel that there should be some changes made to those kids, the students that have those circumstances?
No. And the reason I say no is looking ahead, knowing what the future holds for the college-bound students. This is merely preparation for college. I for one will tell you that I was a smart or A student in high school, and I didn't have to study as much. But when I got to college, it prepared me for college because I didn't have proper study habits. And the best advice I can give to any high school students to have better study habits, because most of your work is done outside the classroom.
Right.
It's not in the classroom. So, all the overload of classes and the extra work and the going to work, that's something that you're just going to have to prepare for. Even after college, even in life, some things are going to arise, and you're just going to have to step up to the challenge and do them. You can't just push it to the side and it goes away. So, no, I wouldn't.
Okay. Do you feel uniform affects, like, do you really feel like it is vital to our ability to learn and whatnot? Because uniform is stressed heavily at this school. I mean, they are pretty lenient in many situations, but at the beginning of the year, at least, it was stressed, like, really heavily.
Well, I think the uniform, in our case, it's not so much stress for academic reasons. Yeah, we want to have a prep look, but at the same time, I think our environment, the community that we're surrounded by, has a lot to do with why we wear uniforms. It kind of not prevents, but it kind of minimizes, the attacks on the students, around the campus or around the community, because you are identified as a student for the most part. So you're not looked at as someone just hanging out around the community or around the school.
Okay. Do you feel like the reputation of the school has gotten better or worse in the past few years?
Worse.
Why worse?
Easily worse. I say worse because I don't think that everyone takes school serious. I don't think everyone grasps the what's the word I'm looking for? I think that not everyone, but I think for the most part, a lot of the students, the school used to have a reputation when I first came and before I came, and everyone knew, and there's still a perception outside of the school, that View Park holds a lot of smart kids, and everyone goes to college, and the GPAs are 3-point whatever and higher, or 4-point and higher, and that's not common, in amongst the public schools. And internally, I know different, because a lot of the kids that are in here are riding the tailcoats of the reputation that was built, coming in, and the effort is not put forth, academically by a large majority of the students. And I know that, from the time I've been here, that has gotten worse. So I don't think a lot of the students grasp the severity of academics and how it's going to help you going forward, for college.
Okay. Do you feel like that lack of responsibility and work ethic shown in students is solely because of students, or do you feel like faculty plays any part of that?
That's a good question. I think most of it is students. I think there's a small portion that is faculty, because time after time, faculty feels that, and being totally honest, faculty feels that if I'm helping you and I'm caring and you're not caring, at some point I have to focus on the ones that do care. And there's a small portion that goes, for lack of use of a better word, blame on the home, and parents and guardians and whomever is on home, because they don't stress it enough, and they kind of pawn the students or the kids off at school, and just there's an expectation of you take care of the kid and do what you have to do, and I'm going to leave it at that. It's out of my hands.
Right.
So.
Okay. I think that's everything that we wrote down. Do you guys have any other questions? No.